Hello again and welcome to GB Shared. Here we are with our member stories, and I'm delighted to introduce the very lovely Imran from Aura Global. Imran's here and joined us to tell us all about why he's joined GB Shared, how he's enjoying the journey, and actually to tell you what his business does and how it can benefit your business. So first of all, welcome Imran, and I'm so pleased you've joined us on GB Shared.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks for the invite. I'm really excited to be here and hopefully share my story and how we can help fellow businesses in
Absolutely.
the UK.
Brilliant. It's all about sharing, Imran, and we find the more people that share it, then the less people actually struggle on their journey as well. So today we're going to talk to you about your company, Aura Global, which I'm super excited about. But before we do, I'm keen to find out a little bit more about you because there's always a person behind a business. So just tell us a little bit about sort of your background, your career, and what led you up to developing Aura.
So I'm a father of four. I live in the northwest of England, a small town called Darwin, not too far away from yourself, Lisa, as we've already discussed previously.
Yep.
I've spent the last 27 years or so working for a few different organisations, and I've got a bit of a yo-yo work history between two organisations. So I worked for O2 on three different occasions, and I worked for AO.com on two different occasions.
Wow.
And I also worked for Debenhams and Tesco Mobile, but the bulk of my time was AO.com and O2. And most of my roles within those organisations were head of service, head of sales, operational roles, mainly in the Northwest and then in the UK as well. And that's where I got some of my experience working with partners across the globe.
Mm. Some big companies there, some big national organisations. So no doubt you've sort of been learnt the corporate whip sort of thing, but you've also managed lots of big teams then, different sizes of teams and staff.
That's right, yeah. So I think when I left O2 a few years ago, I was responsible for retention, sales, and upgrades, and we had a population of about 3,500 colleagues. And again, they were placed across four different continents. So pretty big teams, fairly big responsibilities, big commercial contracts, but it was all great fun.
So managing them people, it makes no surprise then to me that people is an area that you ended up moving into. Interesting having all that experience in managing teams and different peoples across the patch. What things in your career have actually shaped what you've gone on to do now?
Yeah, I think, Lisa, I think if I think about my 25, 27 years in my roles, the thing that stood out for me was my fortune or ability, you could call it, being able to get the best out of people around me.
Right.
And really that underpinned everything that I did which was, how do I ensure that my direct team are able to influence and impact our frontline colleagues and then subsequently our customers and deliver successful outcomes. And ultimately, we did it with our people. I always talk about the fact that leadership is all about delivering results with our people. And I think, saying that and talking about results is relatively easy, but usually what sits behind that is a whole set of actions over a period of time to try and ensure that you've got the right culture and the right environment, and ultimately that your frontline colleagues are as motivated and engaged as they can be to ensure the customer experience is as exceptional as it possibly can be.
Absolutely. And I think then being surrounded by all them people, all those teams, all that corporate structure and managerial responsibility, it's no surprise that you've gone into an area that helps people find people. You've built on all those skills and experiences and pulled together Aura Global. At its heart, what does it do, Imran?
Yeah, I think, Lisa, when I was at O2 and some of the other organisations, we worked with partners in India, the Philippines, and in South Africa.
Right.
And one of my observations was that I think there was an opportunity for outsourcers stroke partners to work with smaller organizations. Often outsourcers work with larger organizations, and they work with kind of a bulk approach.
Yeah.
Larger teams, which is the team that I had. And I thought that we could offer exceptional quality and value for small and medium-sized organizations by being obsessive about the process of recruitment, onboarding, and the ongoing journey with both the client and with our people.
Yeah.
And I believe, and we're doing this now, is that by ensuring we're obsessive about the journey and getting, being micro analytical about all the elements of that and the engagement element, that we can deliver exceptional quality for a fraction of the price of both the UK and even larger organizations. And that's kind of what we're doing, and we are doing, and it's working really well.
So the main premise of Aura is to outsource staffing for people.
Yeah, to provide remote resource, but it's very much bespoke resource, Lisa.
Right.
So I think that's a really important point.
Yeah.
Is it's not bulk recruitment. To date, we've provided between 1 and 5 roles for individuals. So we work really closely with the client to fully understand the success metrics. So what does success look like for this role? It might just be a admin role, but for us, we need to ensure we get the right capability, experience, and then ultimately the fit has to be right for the company. And I think that's where sometimes it doesn't always work with organizations. And our process ensures that you, as the client, are connected and you agree on the fit with the person.
So you're absolutely right. And I mean, once you do this in action, you really do drill down and take it apart bit by bit to make sure everything's right. And I think what you've realized is ultimately the happier the client, the better the fit, the closer the delivery, the more longevity you've got with these organizations. So you are
Absolutely.
ultimately focused on, I need to find the right person for that organization. And the way you do it is quite impressive as well. And we'll get on to that. For now, I think, the elephant in the room here, Imran, is that the UK business community are struggling to recruit.
Yeah.
National insurance has gone up, taxes have gone up, wage bills have gone up, and actually, if I'm honest, organisations are letting people go as opposed to recruiting. And you fight that with a very different sort of tool, which is wonderful to see, because ultimately, if we stifle business, if we stop that growth, if we stop innovation, if we stop recruitment, we have a problem because there's
Yeah.
already pressure on the amount of money that's raised and the level of productivity in the UK, etc., etc. So we've got to find clever ways of attacking these sort of scenarios, and we can't have it where millions of businesses are stuck not able to recruit. So how do
Totally.
you sort of move in with that? How do you position Aura Global to help those organisations?
Yeah, yeah, it's a great question, Lisa, and I think you've kind of touched on it already in terms of the question. So our purpose is to provide another another option, not to be the option, but to provide another option to enable and unlock growth.
Yeah,
And that's really what we're about. We're about finding solutions for businesses, alternative solutions for businesses to help them drive growth so that when they grow, they're going to recruit more people in the UK, the Northwest, wherever they may be in the UK. So, and we're seeing that with the organisations that we're working for. For example, we played some sales guys in a company in Bury, and they've then been able to grow and recruit more colleagues within the UK.
right.
So it's a kind of multiplying effect,
It's an
and then
enabler, isn't it?
absolutely enable and unlocking mechanism, because many organisations, as you've already said, Lisa, are really feeling the pinch,
Yeah.
and they're not able to make that decision of recruiting a person or two to try and move them on
Yeah.
to the next level.
And it's so
Um,
difficult because they want to speculate to grow, and then if that's stifled, so is growth. And that
exactly.
makes it really difficult. So what you offer is an opportunity, even if temporary or, like you say, an interim that leads to being able to recruit other UK people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But there's a bigger picture as well, because the people in where you recruit from also are desperate for work, etc. So you're trying to solve a couple of problems in one go here. So I think for me, the second somebody hears outsourced resources, remote resources, etc.,
Yeah.
etc., they immediately think, cost, quality, what am I going
Yeah.
to get? Can they speak English? I think it is worth you reassuring people, because I already know the levels you go to ensure that quality and that bespoke match. But let's hear it from you. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And Lisa, I don't shy away based on my previous experience that outsourcing has a little bit of a challenging rep. I understand that. And I think my view on that and the reason for that is because as you recruit in bulk, your process and your quality can degrade.
Yeah,
Um, and sometimes for all the, as much as you try, sometimes there may be a challenge when you get somebody on board. But ultimately, from our perspective, we've chosen only to operate from South Africa
right.
because of the quality of the people within South Africa. They have sadly for those guys, as you've already mentioned, they have a really high unemployment rate.
Yeah,
So the unemployment rate within South Africa is circa 30%. So that is a
yeah,
challenge for those guys. But it means that we have a real a plethora of quality options when we carry out our recruitment. And as I said earlier, we literally recruit a few people so we are able to, when we have hundreds of people usually apply for a role, and we're able to get to the ones and twos to provide to the client.
yeah,
So we can be really picky in our recruitment
yeah.
process and ensure that we absolutely get the right person that fits with that organisation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's something else to say here, Imran, which, people under the illusion that South Africa might be a third world country. Actually, its education now is phenomenal. I spent a day at the Ripple Effect conference with about 100 women from South Africa, all qualified engineers with
Yeah,
incredible innovations under the belt. They just can't find work. That's the problem.
yeah, yeah,
So
exactly.
what you're doing is twofold, really. You're giving those people a lifeline to earn, a minimum wage, which for them is much less than we pay a minimum wage. So it also
That's
makes
right.
the employers here a saving while still giving them access to quality, trusted candidates.
Yeah,
Um, your process for businesses is something I'm keen. So let's say a company, in fact, I inquired myself because we were looking for a small resource and,
that's
and,
right.
and so I
Yeah,
reached out to you. But I won't steal your thunder. I'll let you share. So let's say a business is coming along. What kind of roles can you help them with first and foremost?
yeah. So in terms of I'll talk about the roles and also the process as well, just so that everybody's clear on
Yeah,
that. So roles, admin roles, customer service, sales, inbound and outbound.
right,
We've placed some portfolio managers for estate agents, some 360-degree sales guys for recruitment companies.
right.
So really, in essence, as long as we have real clarity on the job spec
Yeah,
and exactly what you're looking for, we can find you that person. Um, so yeah, so we can almost find you anything. We recently placed a social media manager as well
right.
on a part-time basis as well. Just to give you an idea of the cost, as an example, an admin role, a full-time admin role, would cost an organisation £1,000 a month. On a
Wow.
part-time basis, that would be £700 a month. That's 25 hours a
Wow.
week for
And that's
4.4
very,
weeks.
very bold of you because you're quite confident with your costs to put them out there. I know a lot of people will hide them under the covers and sort of say, well, you get so far down the line, then we'll reveal the costs to you. You're quite upfront about that. And actually, it's tipped quite a few customers your way who thought it
Absolutely,
was unaffordable and suddenly
absolutely,
realised actually that is affordable. So those
yeah,
businesses that really need that extra resource, particularly those small business owners that need to lift themselves doing the work on the correct pay level as opposed to doing a week full of admin when they can get
yeah.
that, outsourced. It's going to shift businesses.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's what we're seeing, Lisa. Lee, we want to be really transparent and open about what we're offering, the cost. We look to our colleagues in South Africa, so our workers, we pay them more than the national average in South Africa,
Right.
and to date, none of those guys have left
Wow.
um, at the business. So attrition is zero
Yeah.
in terms of our decision. We have lost one client, which was a outbound B2B role, and I mentioned that earlier. That there are a few occasions where no matter what you do, sometimes it just doesn't work. But
But some
on the
people are doing this
whole,
temporarily anyway.
yeah, exactly,
So, you can do it temporary, you can do it permanent, you can have your
yeah.
sales staff, your admin staff, your social media staff, you can take your pick. I guess in terms of the process, Imran, so if I was saying to you today, okay, I could do with a part-time admin, how soon can you get me somebody, Imran? What does that process
Uh,
look like?
Yeah, it probably about 2 or 3 weeks, Lisa. So as soon as you advise me, go. So
Yeah,
can you find me a person? We would, dependent on the role. So some roles we already have people on the books.
Yep.
If it's a role that we don't have anybody in the books, we'd place an advert for usually for about 2 weeks. On average, we'd get about 300 to 400 applicants for
Ah,
each role.
that's a lot.
Um, we then whittle them down manually, not via AI. So my recruitment and onboarding manager, Sam, who's based in Cape Town, would go through all of those applications and she'd get down to about 20 to 25. She'd then interview those guys over the course of a few days, and then we'd present those guys to yourself as the client. One of the points that I forgot to mention, but I mentioned it earlier, is that Sam and myself, or often Sam, would do a qualifying call with yourself to
Right.
ensure that before she starts sifting and going through the process, she's the person that's going to be speaking to the people. She
So
needs to
she
ensure
wants to
she,
know
she
exactly what that business is looking
exactly.
for. And
Yeah,
I'm presuming she covers qualifications, personality,
absolutely.
all of
Yeah,
the stuff that go with it. Um,
absolutely.
it's a fantastic process, and there are so many businesses right now, Imran, that are desperate to grow and really stuck. And the UK needs that growth. It needs it in our economies, it needs it in our
Absolutely.
taxes, it needs it
Yeah,
for our systems. And the very fact that you've recruited for recruitment companies means we are recruiting more UK people at the same time as helping out others that really
absolutely.
need our support
Yeah,
in terms of being able to feed themselves and the families. So all in all, and it's such a low risk process that you're doing because you do all of the legwork. To be fair, for the salary that you're paying, in some respects, I think, well, where is the fee for the thoroughness of you guys? Because surely that 700 is just paying the wages, or that 1,000 is just paying the wages. It's as if you guys go unpaid as part of that process. But I know how important it is to you to position Aura of high quality, low risk,
yeah,
the go-to place for outsourced staffing. And I think you're on a really good journey. I've heard from some
yeah,
very, very happy clients, and I know more are inquiring now that they know it's more affordable and accessible, and that you do such a good job on reducing that risk for us.
yeah.
What's the plan over the next couple of years for Aura?
Yeah, the plan, Lisa, really is to meet more organizations and to grow our company and organization base and grow our people support network and really provide organizations with help and solutions on those three core areas. We know that organizations have a challenge around the quality of people, the cost of people, and the flexibility. And we hope to try and help organizations in that particular field. So I think we want to be the option for organizations in the UK to come to. And then we want people to refer us. We're already starting to see referrals from existing customers. And I think that is testament to what we're doing and how we're doing things.
Absolutely. Well, I think you are on an incredible journey and no doubt will be the go-to place just because of the sheer depth of thoroughness you are doing to get those candidates placed and make sure those businesses benefit. They're swallowing them up. And I'm just so excited to see your journey unfold. I'm also delighted, of course, that you're part of GB Shared. So you'll be sharing all of this and more on our platform, and
Yeah.
you're already busy connecting and growing with others. How are you finding your first few weeks as part of the membership?
Yeah, fantastic, Lisa. I think the conversation I've had with yourself, with other team members, I've had a few one-to-ones now with other members, and I think I'm gaining a real uh, richness and depth of understanding and knowledge, not just in terms of immediate business,
Mm.
but hints, tips, and tricks of how to market, grow, and get out there really. And
Yeah,
like you said, Lisa, it's about sharing the story
of
and
course it is.
connecting the supply and demand. And I think today GB Shared has been a great mechanism, and your personal support
Ah, thank you.
has been fantastic. It
Well,
really
I
has.
massively appreciate that, but more to the point, we are super excited to look forward to share everything about Aura Global over the next 12 months. I wish you every success. Keep up your 10-minute plan on the platform. We look forward to seeing you expand, grow, access funding, and lots of other opportunities. And of course, support more and more Northwest businesses in getting high quality staffing from
Definitely.
across the world.
Yeah.
For now, Imran, I will make sure that the link to your GB Shared page is put in the YouTube conversation at the bottom so people can get to you if they want to reach out. Nobody should struggle for staff in the UK. There are lots of unemployed people here, but there are
Mm,
also lots of unemployed people overseas. What we try and do at GB Shared is bring our communities, our counties, our country, and our planet together to make it a little bit of a better place. Thank
mm.
you so much for joining me today, Imran. Can't wait to share your story and look forward to working with you over the coming years.
Brilliant. Thanks, Lisa. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Take care.